Welcome again to the live podcast launch party for Let's Talk About It with Mingo. So there's an author by the name of Young Pueblo who wrote, "Only through honesty does communication become worthwhile and meaningful. You can talk all day, but if you keep avoiding the truth, you are not really communicating." And so I'm personally setting that intention for our time together today, that us talking about whatever it is that our spirits need to, that we do so with honesty and love, and that it leads to genuine communication. So if you are the two or more gathered together around that, can I get an amen? Amen. Oh, okay, we all here.
We church kids.
Okay, Miss Mingo, let's go. Today, right now, Let's Talk About It with Mingo is officially launched into the world. Like this thing is here. So for real, like bring us into this moment and what is given for you.
This is a long time coming moment. For years, I've wanted to launch a podcast to have conversations that I felt either no one was having or I didn't think that we were having the proper conversation about the topic. And growing up as a child and just becoming into womanhood, I always wanted to talk, right? I got in trouble for talking in school. I just was always talking. But I also like to say the hard things that I felt nobody was saying. Um, Outside of that, it also was very important for me to create safe spaces for people to have conversations. So it wasn't just a mean-spirited desire to talk about things. So I don't just want to say what nobody in the room is saying, but really creating a space where people felt comfortable and vulnerable and relatable enough to be transparent and have conversations that brought hope and healing. The issue for me was that I always operated in a spirit of fear. And so the years would come and I would just be afraid. And it's like, what if nobody wants to talk to me about anything? Or what if I don't have anything to say? Or how will the world receive me? And I would say my fear of not feeling prepared or not being enough or not being where I thought I should be always prevented me from launching full force into what I knew I was supposed to do. And in 2025, it was a very, very hard year for me. But in the beginning of the year, I was thinking, okay, I need to do this. I felt the Holy Spirit telling me, like, you need to do this, and I still didn't do it. I lost my sister in September 25th, and the first 2 weeks we were just in the bed, really. And one day I was in the bed and I felt God say, you need to do it now. And I felt it in such a way I had never felt it before. And I'm like, there's no way that you are saying that I need to do this now. Right. Like, absolutely not. I can't even get out of bed. What do you mean do this right now? And it just felt so strong on me and I just had to be obedient. Like, I couldn't shake it. And so now this moment it's a full circle moment. And even though I'm nervous, I'm not going to say I'm not nervous. I'm not operating in fear. This is the first time I say, I'm not going to let fear cause me to delay what I already know God is calling me to do. So in this moment, I'm nervous, but I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm doing this. Oh my gosh, I don't want to do this. Oh my gosh, but I'm here. So you can't run anymore. And so it's this moment, it's kind of, Kirk Franklin has this song that says, Hello Fear. And it's basically like, hello fear. Like, I was afraid, but you don't get to write the story anymore.
Let that, right? I'm gonna let that simmer for a little bit. And send some love to your sister in her love that fills this moment, her energy that fills this moment. For you, and it's funny, one of the questions that I wanted to get to was around, I don't know if anyone has ever heard of alchemy, taking one thing and turning it into something else, right? And so I was going to ask, if there was an emotion, was there any emotion that you had to alchemize into fuel to make this podcast and launch into the unknown possible? And you kind of spoke somewhat to that. What I'm hearing is that it honestly sounds like you alchemized grief. And I think there's something to be said about one of the lowest moments of your life becoming or giving you the fuel to soar to a new height. How did you begin to, what were some of the practical steps that you took from the bed to the moment that you press the launch event, let's start collecting tickets? Because that's part of your alchemy, right? That's part of your process of alchemizing. So what were some of those steps for you to take grief and turn it into all this greatness that we get to sit in today?
The first step was I just had to get up. It was just the knowledge that I had to get up. And the very first time I could vividly remember experiencing grief was the loss of one of my best friends in college. And I was again in bed. And my grandmother came in the room. It was the middle room at my mom's house. And my grandmother came in my room and she just said, "Baby, I know you're hurting. I know you're in pain." She said, "But you got to get up. Because if you don't get up now, you'll never get up again." And she turned on the light, and I'm like, but every experience after that, I always knew I had to get up. And I couldn't wait to get up. I had to get up in that moment. And so I had to get up. My family had to get up. And I was in awe about the power of God in that moment because I knew it wasn't my own personal strength because I couldn't understand like how we all were kind of pushing through. It's just like, okay, we made it through this day. Okay, we made it through the next day. And every time I got up, I felt stronger. And so I knew that I just had to keep doing it. And then even with loss, I realized like, honestly, what's the worst that can happen? Because the worst that can happen has happened. So, okay, nobody buys your tickets. That's fine. You're going to be in that room talking by yourself. um, but I think for me, when I experience what has been the worst, there's really nothing more to be afraid of. There's nothing more for me to say I'm not going to do, I'm not going to experience because I've already met that. And so it's just like, well, I didn't decide this, but like, you can't be afraid of that because what about this?
About this,
Right? Like, you can't be afraid of losing this because you lost her. So I think that was the idea of what worse can happen in life. And rejection that seemed like the world to me before, it's like, okay, you could do that.
There's this shout out to Angie Martinez in the In Real Life podcast. Um, Jill Scott was her most recent guest. Shout out to Philly in the Billy, Jilly from Philly. She is the most recent guest that's been on the podcast, and I was watching some of that, and in it, Jill Scott tells this story about how I believe it was her grandfather had passed. And Jill was a child, but her grandmother, of course, her husband, she's grieving, taking this hard. So much so that one day they came home and her grandmother was stretched out on the floor crying, like just wailing. Um, and she said it was very hard to witness. And at some point, you know, her grandmother was in her room, door closed, just letting that thing go, right? Like just wailing. And her and her mom sat outside the door, just listening, just trying to, you know, all right, do we need to come in? But just being present while she grieved. And she said the next day, her grandmother got up and she went downstairs and she started, I think she said she made some fried fish and she made some grits or whatever else, and she made breakfast and they moved forward. And she said seeing her grandmother do that, watching the process of someone being able to grieve and to have that but then get up again, that taught her as a woman how to do that. My hope and my prayer is that as someone is hearing you share those steps, that you are encouraged and that your spirit is fed to just get up, the first step. So this all seems very, I don't believe in coincidences. And so you were made for such a time as this. This podcast was made for such a time as this. But if we talking about the times for real, right? The reality right now is that everyone is talking about something, anything, everything. Everybody got something to say about everything. It is a lot. Right. Everything all at once. But for you, like, why that particular message of let's talk about it? And especially as the deliverer and the amplifier of that message, like, why now?
You're right. Everybody, that was also after a while. It's like, oh, everybody has a podcast. Like you turn on TV, YouTube, you open up your app, and everybody literally has a podcast about anything. They got a podcast about chair covers, right? Like they got a podcast about the rain. Like there is a podcast for everything. And I had to get over that because one thing that I always want to do is to encourage and inspire people. And a lot of times I felt that conversations were being had and they were just kind of leaving people empty, or leaving people unfulfilled. It's like you had the conversation, but where do we take it after we had the conversation? Mm-hmm. Or the conversations were had in a way where it was just people were just talking just to talk versus talking with a purpose in mind. And so for me, we could talk about anything. We could talk about immigration. We could talk about women's health rights, reproductive rights. We could talk about friendship. We could talk about hair. I think there's always a way to bring the conversation to inspire and empower and heal someone. Because at the end of the day, if you talk long enough, underneath a conversation, someone is either looking for guidance, they're looking for relatability, they're looking for healing, or they're just looking to belong. And so making sure that we have the conversations either that nobody is talking about, so that they can bring healing because silence kills, or reframing and redirecting conversations that may be very common. And ultimately, the goal for me for having conversations was healing. And for this time specifically, we live in a world that is broken. And we are seeing brokenness on every level. And I think for the first time, collectively, it doesn't matter your socioeconomic status, it doesn't matter your race, it doesn't matter your background, your educational background. Everyone is kind of like, what is going on? And so now I think that we do need to have conversations that bring healing. We do need to have conversations where people feel like that was a breath of fresh air. Or begin to start reflecting on ourselves. And I think that for me, it is time to help heal the world. And out of my own brokenness, I feel others' brokenness just a little heavier than I did before.
Because you know it.
Yeah, and I can sense it. And there is a book that I love called The Wounded Healer by Henry Now. It's a good one. And when I read it before, I thought I knew. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a wounded healer. I know what it feels to be wounded. But it talks about how you're only able to truly heal people once you've experienced and had to bandage your own deep wounds. And then once you do that, you're able to basically amplify whatever you're doing in a world that's already broken, that needs so much healing. And so I feel like that's the space that I'm in now. I feel like now I know what it means to be a wounded healer. I know what it means to be wounded, and I want to make sure that I'm actively participating in helping people heal in whatever areas of life they need the healing.
Yeah. There's so many different sayings that are coming to mind right now. Like Beyonce says, "My torture became my remedy." Folks, I can't remember the exact quote, but someone said like, "The solution is in the problem." Right? Like if you ever want to solve something, dive deeper into the problem. It's in there. Or when folks, in terms of venom, the antidote is in the venom, actually. Like you need a strain of it to create the thing that would heal or prevent it. And so I think like in some ways this is all a part of that. You were talking about reframing conversations or that there's different ways that they could be had and more intentional ways that they could be had. When you think back to that version of Mingo, okay, yeah, I'm glad you said me. I'm glad you were with Mingo because we've known each other since college.
Oh Lord.
And yeah, it's Mingo. Because that's what I mean, you Reverend Mingo, you all these things, but it's still Mingo. But that, when you think back to that version of Mingo that was in that bed grieving, or that was even at your sister's funeral, eulogizing, what is a conversation that now that you are healing, now that you are finding your strength, that you would have differently or reframe, or that you think is even important to have?
Um, I think the conversation that I would be, there are a few conversations. You want me to just pick one? Okay.
Whatever, it's,
Uh,
it's your podcast, boo. Whatever you want to do, you can do as many as you want, and we're gonna sit here and listen because that's what we do on a podcast.
there are a couple conversations that I would address and reframe. Um, the one conversation is about. I'll start here because it's the heaviest conversation. It's about suicide. For those who know, my sister died by suicide, which is a complete shock to any family that experiences it. And as my degree in undergrad was psychology. So as a psych major, as someone who has every job that I have had has required suicide prevention training, suicide awareness. You see this, and this. You know this. These are the signs. If a person does this, they're likely to do it. If a person does this, they're not likely to do it. All of those things. What do you do with children in a school setting when they tell you that they want to kill themselves, even if they're joking, right? Having to have those conversations with kids like, no, now I do have to report it. Oh, no, I was just joking. You can't joke like that. And as clergy, having been at funerals, having met families who have lost loved ones by suicide, but they won't say it. They'll say it to the preacher, they'll say it to the deacon, but it's we'll say it, but don't mention it during the service. And everyone at the service, everyone at a repast, everyone who hears the story is wondering what happened. And nobody says anything. And so people start to say, and I've been a part of conversations like that. I think this happened, or I think that happened. And the reality is, for me, one thing that I quickly knew was that it wasn't something that I was going to be ashamed about. I'm not ashamed that my sister made that decision. I don't think that that is the overarching theme of her life. And I think it's important that we have the conversations because of what statistics show. It's about 40 of us in this room. That means about 8 people have felt despair to the point where they've even considered it or they will consider it at some point in life. And for me, those 8 people are worth having the conversation. And if you don't know, there's something that my sister and I were just talking about the other day. If people don't know how bad it hurts, if I see this person leave Earth this way and their family doesn't talk about it, nobody says anything, it doesn't seem like there's a big impact. Like, okay, it happened, but they're getting along. They're okay. But they're not okay. But if I think they're okay, then that feeds the stigma and that ideology that nobody will care if I'm going. Because I watched somebody else leave and nobody cared that they left. Or nobody acted like it was anything. And for me, I can't act like it didn't change our world. I can't act like it because of how much she meant to us, but I also can't act like it because I just can't risk somebody else thinking that it's true that if this happened to me, nobody's going to care.
Yeah.
And so that's one conversation I think we need to reframe. Also, not just suicide awareness, but what happens to the people who are still living. Because we do spend a lot of time with prevention, but we need to spend a lot of time with the healing and the reconciling of those who have just experienced a reckoning in life. So that's a conversation. To bring it a little lighter because I don't want y'all, live too back there. One conversation I would just have is the importance of laughter and humor, joking. I think that the world is just kind of taking itself a little bit too seriously right now. Like everybody's in a podcast, but everybody wants to be like deep, and it's like, yo, everything is not that deep, right? Like it is okay to laugh. It is okay to just let your hair down. You don't have to live up to a certain aesthetic or standard. And that's important for me because at one point I felt that way. I felt like, especially when I was called to preach, I was like, oh no, like not me. First of all, God, like you and I know, right? Like we know, y'all know, right? So I'm like, there's no way you calling me to preach, right? And then I would look at preachers from the time I was called, and I would say, nah, no, I don't, not me. And I'm like, nobody's gonna take me seriously. Like, I'm not gonna take
I'm not gonna take you seriously.
Right, I'm not gonna take me seriously. And for a long time, I felt like my personality was a hindrance to that calling. Because I didn't really see, in my experience, like I didn't really see people who were just like me in that position. So I'm like, God, you're not embarrassing me. Like, I'm not doing it. Like,
and I don't want to embarrass you.
Right. Because, like, we're going to do this, and then they're going to send me a 2-week notice. Like, girl, you're done, right?
You answered and
Right.
hang up. Okay, let go.
But but I also have always made the decision that I'm never going to not be who I am. Like, I'm never going to do that. So when I made the decision to answer the call, when I was voluntold into, right?
Wait, what?
Yes, voluntold.
Voluntold.
Yes, when I was voluntold into my current vocation and call and employment, one thing that was a blessing to me, and I felt like it was God helping me say, I do know why I called you. So many times, either I would meet people and I would engage with them first prior to them knowing that I was a preacher, and they would be like, wow. And one time, someone was like, oh, I thought they said it was a preacher at the table, but I thought it was that person because you were laughing and talking. And I was like, you don't think preachers laugh and talk? Like, all right. And then like having conversations with people and them saying that it was laughter and humor that helped them feel safe. Yes. And it was the disarming nature that said, oh, maybe I can do this thing. Maybe I can be a Christian. Maybe it's not that bad. And when people started sharing those types of things with me, it helped me realize that like joy and humor and lightheartedness. I mean, I could be deep if you want me to be deep, right? But I also would prefer not to be that deep, right? Like not at all times. And I think if we allow ourselves to just be sometimes and not always operate with I have to show up as the smartest person in the room, or I have to say something that will be so profound that it will just move everyone. If you could just be, then you allow others the opportunity to just be. And at the end of the day, everybody loves to laugh. Yes. Like everyone wants to be in a space where they're going to experience some levity. And so for me, I think that that's a conversation about how do we get back to a place where there are things that we do need to take seriously, like our passions, but how do we not take it too seriously to the point where we're not even authentically being ourselves because we want to present ourselves as a certain way to the world.
So. What's the last thing you like genuinely whole belly chest laughed about?
I laugh all the time, so that's kind of
I love that.
I'm trying to. Oh, I was laughing with Ashley today. We was getting ready in the mirror.
Anytime you do the toe tap, that was a good laugh.
Yeah, we were laughing. We were laughing about a lot of things. Actually, like we were laughing. First of all, we were telling each other we were cute. And we was laughing about that because we like, yeah, you are. Right. And sometimes we call each other brother. So,
okay, that's the thing. My daughters do that. I'm like, stop. Why
it's a thing. Like, like little brother, big brother, you're a handsome young man. We do that type of.
Okay, that's the thing. That's the thing. It really was throwing me. And I was like, I'm gonna just let y'all do your thing.
And it's a term of endearment. Like, it's like, oh my gosh, you're so handsome. Like, yeah, but like we do that. But we were just like, so y'all laughing. So y'all see, like we were cracking ourselves up about it. And it's really nothing, but we're just like, oh, you look cute. Okay, boy. Like that's just that. And that was this morning. Yeah. So that
I
was
love
the
that. Shout out to sis. Yes. Or brother.
brother. That is
Shout out to
Ashton.
little bro.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's Ashton right there. Like that's yeah.
Ashton.
Yes.
Okay, Ash. I love the name. I do. So, all right. So the thing about talking about it, no matter what it is, I think for some is that there's some. Let me just lay it out there. So, how do you talk about it without risking being talked about?
You can
Cause
honestly.
honey, they be chatting,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. So, and I think for some people, that insecurity, that fear, that distrust, whether your experiences have conditioned you to believe that or not, is real. And yeah, like okay, I want to talk about it, but y'all gonna talk about me if I really talk about it. So I'm gonna choose
Yeah.
silence.
Right.
I won't be the topic of your
You're right.
conversation.
Right. Right. I think the reality is, I think for me, I've learned they're going to talk anyway. They're going to talk whether you do it. They're going to talk whether you don't. They're going to talk. I've known this. They're going to talk when you big. They're going to talk when you smaller, right? Like they're going to talk. So I might as well enjoy whatever I'm doing, the state, the conversation, because they're going to talk anyway. So I might as well be okay. Like, all right, well, you know what? I'm happy over here. Because for so long, I would not do certain things because I'm like, I don't want people to talk about it. Like, I don't want them to talk about me. But then I realized they talking about you anyway. So like you're not preventing anything. You're just living a life that you're not feeling fulfilled in. And so I think for me, once I got over that, it was like they want to talk anyway, and I might as well just have a ball. And then people are fickle. To be quite honest, I mean, I could be fickle sometimes. Like maybe one year I love this celebrity, and the next year I'm like they're the worst person in the world, right? I think our opinions can change, and because our opinions change, and I don't even think it's about people being fake. We just change our opinions a lot. You can't rest your action and your decisions on people who will change constantly. Yeah.
Ooh, change. That's the change and constantly. All right, so there are I call them the 3 E's that I live by: empathize, empower, and evolve. Everything is in service to the evolution of not only myself, but to the evolution of humanity, of other people, of empowering them to feel that they can evolve into their next self. And so Olivia Dean has this song, Lady Lady. And in it, she sings, and I don't want to get the lyrics wrong, but she sings, she's always changing me without a word. And I was just getting used to her. Keeps rearranging me a little bit, and I was just getting used to it. And she's talking about herself, right? About how there is whoever, like maybe that core, that true version of herself, her soul, that is always changing who she is because she's evolving, right? And so for you, Mingo, what part of yourself do you hope or expect this podcast journey to introduce or expose you to?
First, I'm happy that you said that because when I first heard that song, I was like blown away. I'm like, wow, like she's talking about me. And
Yes.
she was talking about her, but she was talking
She
about
was
me
talking about
too.
me too.
Right.
I'm like, this girl
And
keep
it's
changing. I
right.
just got used to who I
Yes.
was, and now I'm like, I don't like
Right.
that.
It's like this is who I am, and then something happened. It's just like, oh, I don't
That's
know that version of me anymore.
yep.
It's a whole new version of me. I don't know. I think I talked about fear. I think I would people. One thing I will say, and I know people are always shocked. People, I am very bold presenting, but I'm not always bold when I'm by myself or in my thoughts. And so a lot of times I will. Okay, so let me back it up. We just watched this documentary this weekend about the Chicago Bulls, the '90s team of the Chicago Bulls, and um, first of all, I didn't really know all of the history of the Chicago Bulls in the '90s. I was like 3. Um, so were some of y'all. And Scottie Pippen, who is known as one of the greatest basketball players ever, he was not on anybody's site to even come into the NBA. And he started playing basketball late. And because he started playing basketball late, even when he was drafted, people didn't even know who this kid was. It was just like, oh, they were calling him Scott Pippen. And he signed a contract. And he signed a contract, and a lawyer and manager told him that that was not a good contract for him to sign. And he signed it anyway because he never believed that he would even be there in the first place. And he said that even though they told him to bargain for more and negotiate for more, he refused because he didn't think he was worth being there to begin with. And when I saw that, that really hit me because I was like, have I operated in that space? Have I kind of been like operating in this space of I didn't necessarily think I would be where I am today. And so because I don't think I would be where I am today, I'm not going to bargain and negotiate life for more. And then he spent his career being underpaid. He was, they called him like number 2 in the league, but he was like 129 in pay. And I'm not even just talking about like financial pay, right? I'm not talking about that compensation, but I'm talking about what life could have to offer you. Like, do I want to just, or do you want to just keep going through life, and because you don't even think you should be where you are now, that this part of life wows you so much, you live at I'm just happy to be here, so I'm not going to ask for more. And I hope that that's what 2026, that's the version of me that I want to operate. Not the version that I'm not going to ask for more, but the version that says, no, I'm here. And even though I didn't see myself here, I'm supposed to be here. And I'm not just going to settle for the bottom that here has. I'm going to go for more because I deserve more. And it just doesn't make any sense not to live. And again, it's not about monetary compensation. It could be anything. Whatever your more is, don't not ask for it because you just couldn't believe you even were here in the first place. And so that's the version that I want to fully walk in 2026. Not just kind of being like, always being thankful, right, that I'm in this space, but never letting that space hold me because I just can't believe I was here in the first place.
Are we all here? If you here, say I'm here. And if you're going to go for more, say more.
Or
Let it be, so it is. Thank you. You read me my rights a little bit about that. Yeah, I'm going to sit with that. Okay, God. Wow. He got me.
I'm sorry.
So, what do you hope these conversations on Let's Talk About It ultimately lead to? Not just for you, but for all of your partners in truth telling.
I hope that it leads to revelation and reflection. I hope that it leads to healing and laughter. Like there are so many. When I have conversations with people, and I don't necessarily like plan the conversations, but there are certain things I want people to feel after they engage with me. I want them to say that they laughed at some point in time because I like laughing. I don't see why we wouldn't laugh. Like there are a lot of things that are funny, and even things that are not funny, we can find some humor in those too. So I want people to always have laughter in the conversations, healing, to feel like somebody sees them and they belong, and just the permission to be who you are and the permission to go after what you want. But ultimately, I just like, even with when I think about the launch party, I'm like, okay, well, I'm launching something new, but I know that I'm not the only person who came into 2026 with something on their heart that they've been holding on to for some time. I just know it. So there are a number, if I went through the room, there are a lot of hopes and dreams and vision boards and notepads full of ideas, and I would hope that all of us go for them this year. Like this is not just like this launch should be a catalyst for us. If it's 40 people, 40 different things somehow, some way need to be launched after today.
Let's go through the room.
Yeah. Oh,
You ready?
yay.
I want to do a PhD program.
Okay. And
I know
Mo,
that's funny.
that's my birthstone. And you want to do, that's yours too?
Yeah.
Hey, when your birthday?
18th.
The 18th? I'm May 11th. Okay. PhD program in what?
Psychology. I'm a therapist currently. But yeah, I want to get my PhD, so I've been looking into that and just praying on like a fully funded PhD program.
One of the things that my husband and I do, we have something called Hanging with the Howards, and it is really important for me to create safe spaces for couples just to have fun, date nights, and stuff like that. So one thing that we want to add to our repertoire is something called Covenant Conversations, and we're going to do it not just in a church setting, but we want to do it in your local ice cream shop, libraries, just to have conversations around relationships, family, things like that. Because one thing that I found, even before I said I do, was that I did not see a lot of successful marriages. And I think it's because there was a lot of conversations not happening around marriage. And so as a millennial, I want to create those spaces for us to talk about.
For 2026, I'm also getting my doctorate. I'm almost halfway through into
Okay.
research, so we should talk. But for my nonprofit organization, Stories in My Backyard, it's really important for me to expand beyond myself and extending myself a lot as founders do. We do so much, and we provide culturally relevant media arts education to Black youth here in the city. So I'm doing photography programs, virtual reality programs, but I want to extend into the community more with a team. I currently have a couple partnerships already with the University of Pennsylvania. I'm an EDD student at Penn GSC, so I'm in education. So I have a couple partnerships with their programs that are already going, that are expanding this year, and the school district's TV station, the Philadelphia School District. So
Let's talk about it. Okay. Okay, one more.
I want to say that God is truly good because my experience with coming into the call of ministry is very different than a lot of other people's experience. I grew up at the Enoch Tabernacle Baptist Church, and the Lord has blessed us in a way where my response had to be yes to the call, really feeling that I could fill the role. But I would be lying if I said that I was walking away from a salary. I was actually like, praise the Lord, I'm leaving. So I just want to be honest about that. But I can talk about walking away from feeling sure about this job and the work I could do in this job versus the work I could do in ministry. Because I was sure that I could impact in a school setting in a nonprofit, but I wasn't sure that I could translate that into a ministry setting.
What I want to hear from Mingo is exactly what she's saying right now, the transparency, um, being exactly who you are and standing firm on that and embracing that and moving forward in it. I feel like a lot of what we do for the better is for the next generation, for the next person that's trying to be there, for the next person that wants to do that, but doesn't feel the courage. You know, just sitting here listening to you right now, I was over here welling out. I'm like, this is crazy, like this is empowering. I'm so happy for her. And we need that. We need more of that in a world where people just want the spotlight just to have the spotlight, in a world where people, like we said earlier, just want to talk, just to talk. Like, let's talk about things that's going to progress us, that's going to be transparent, that's going to embrace the next generations.
Thank you.
Ashe.
I would like to have the conversation with Brittany. If you look around the room, it's 98% women, but I would love for her to have a conversation that involved the male, that involved males, but in terms of their vulnerability, dealing with loss, therapy, dealing with the pain, letting people in, letting people love you, letting them know that they're going to be okay. You know, because I work for Verizon, and I just had a job 3 days ago. He just lost his father on Christmas Eve, but it wasn't a good start because he was coming at me with all this frustration, and then he apologized. He said, "I just lost my father," and I suffered loss, but in that moment, I was able to tell him, just take the time that you need. I had to say it 3 times before the light bulb came on because it was the first thing in the morning. He had to get his son out. He had his wife dealing with the stuff around the house, and it was just weighing on him. So I'm working, and I'm saying, just take the time, take all the time you need. And it wasn't until the third time when he was like, nobody's telling me that I need to take time. And he's just too busy trying to hold everything else together while he's dealing with the loss of his father, who he already told me, like in a very short time, he gave me a lot of information. His mother died when he was 13. He's 40. and his father's been raising him and taking care of him. So his father was everything to him. But he just lost him at Christmas. But he still got to hold everything together. And nobody told him. I mean, it's a weekend, put his father in the ground. But still, nobody said, take the time you need. So I just want to make sure that maybe we can have those conversations, because even today, men don't realize that you don't have to be so strong. And other people are saying they're all right because they men. So I'm just hoping that somewhere along the line we can have that conversation, because as you can see, men don't want to come talk. But I'm hoping that you can get the right people or the right questions or the right whatever to get some men to come talk, or at least the right men to come talk, so that somebody else or other men could hear it.
Thank you. That was good. That's my uncle, y'all. Thank you. I really do want to thank each and every one of you. I don't want it to go unsaid about how much you have inspired me and you're encouraging me. And I just really appreciate it. My dad walked out to the meter. I gotta remind him you could do it from your phone. Oh, okay, the meter with the car. Okay, but I do have gratitude to my parents for dealing with me from the time I started talking. To now. It's been a lot of talk about it they didn't want to talk about. But I really appreciate it. And I wouldn't be who I am today without my parents, so I do thank you. I thank my sister, brother. Thank you just for, your sibling is your first friend. And we've learned even more so last year how important the sibling bond is. And so I just thank my sister for always being there. Syreeta, I want to thank you. Yes, Syreeta, clap it up. Me and Syreeta, we met in a bar in Westchester. And from the moment I met her, I just loved her. Like, I just loved her. I had a good conversation with her. And she has a remarkable story. As you can see, she is a light. She is beautiful from the inside out. And I just always thank you, because you've always, in the seasons of my life, you have been a bright star for me and a reminder to be authentically who you are. And so I've always enjoyed just watching you blossom, watching you raise your daughters, watching you be the Oprah of Philly, and just being who you are and always being transparent and open. And I want to thank Dexter. I deliver his child along with Fatima. I deliver their child. And I want to thank Dexter, because Dexter is like, Fatima and Dex, I talk to them at the same time. And then sometimes I talk to them at like different times, but they're always like, no, you got to do it. You got to do it. And I kept telling Dex, like, he's like, are you crazy? Like, are you crazy? I want to thank my uncle, because when I told him about it and I told him about the candles, he's like, let's go. And he started sending me stuff. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. But just helping with that. I want to thank Seth and Ash. I literally, and Clarissa for introducing me to them, because we just met like a month maybe ago. And I truly like, I love y'all, like, and it's been 2 events, and Steph's like, I have ADHD, so Steph is like, I'm like, oh, this is good. He's like, what you want to play coming in? What you want to play coming out? I'm like, So I appreciate that. I could literally go through this room and like thank each and every one of y'all, and if y'all want to stay here with me, I will. But I just really thank everyone, because I don't take for granted having a village. And I don't take for granted having people who would say that I'm going to pour into you, right? Because when I have to pay money for something, I'm like, I don't know, I don't want to go. Like, I don't know. And so for y'all to invest in that way, it means a lot to me, and invest your time and your space. And I really do thank you for that. And I thank you for the space that you all occupy in my life. And so I really want to say thank you for that. And yeah, I'm getting a little emotional, so I think I'm going to just wrap it up. So I do appreciate each and every person, because you are all very special to me, and I'm happy that you were here in this space and this time, and that's it.